My name's Will Amos. I'm the Member of Parliament for Pontiac, and I'm a Liberal candidate.
Who is Will Amos?
Will Amos is a guy who grew up in West Ottawa, moved to Chelsea in 2005, proud father of two kids with my wife Regina, an environmental lawyer, someone who cares a lot about Canada, someone who cares a lot about the Pontiac, and someone who is willing to go to bat for our region.
What has drawn you into politics?
I've always been really interested in the future of Canada and particularly in national unity. I think our country faces really big challenges looking forward, challenges like climate change, like rural poverty, like economic development. And we need a path forward where we bring all of the different parts of our country and our region together. So I've always wanted to be the guy who helps achieve that.
And what do you bring to that project?
Well, I think I bring a number of skills. But first off, just at an emotional level, a personal level, I just like people. I like being around people. I like being in our communities. And I think that's the first step, because if you're not there to listen, then you're never going to be a good representative. But of course, you know, at a professional level, I bring legal skills. I've spent time on Parliament Hill prior to becoming a lawyer. I worked in the Prime Minister's office, so I know how government works, and I feel like that's also very helpful. And I've always been a community volunteer and someone who's really engaged in local causes.
Why is the Liberal Party the right party for you?
I think it's the right party for not just me, but for the country, because it's a pragmatic party. It's a party that helps overcome differences and is a big tent party. It brings different people with different perspectives to work towards common objectives. And I think that you know, if we only focus on what one person thinks, then we're never going to get anywhere. But if we focus on what a lot of people think and they work out problems together, then we'll find our way there. That's what I feel like I can do in the Liberal Party, is work with a bunch of different voices and from different parts of the country, different backgrounds, to get to a better place.
Somehow, in that context, the different voice of Jody Wilson-Raybould didn't seem to be sustainable.
Well, there's always going to be differences of opinion in any party, including in the Liberal Party, and I think that that's normal and appropriate. In her case, there was a difference of opinion with the Prime Minister.
What are your major concerns about the Pontiac? And when I say Pontiac, I mean this particular corner of the riding.
Well, I think that the Pontiac, since the forestry industry declined in 2011, has really struggled to find its next economic development opportunities. And that's what we've been working on since my election in 2015. But it's a big challenge, because when you lose 3,000 or 4,000 or 5,000 people, those are families who contribute, those are families who help build the economy and build our communities. So our big challenge is in making sure that we've got the necessary infrastructure so that investors want to come to our region. And we're doing just that by focusing on things that are of critical importance, like high-speed internet, like cell phone service, like better healthcare. These are all things that good, solid communities need to have in order to attract investors.
Well, in your 4 years as a Member of Parliament, what have you achieved? What is different in the Pontiac now?
Well, we've certainly announced major investments in high-speed internet, $20.7 million in projects to be precise, and these are being implemented as of now and moving through 2021. I'm expecting we're going to have more projects submitted and approved in the coming years. But there have been all sorts of projects that have moved forward. Let's take, for example, the Pontiac Abattoir. That's a project that people had been looking at for many, many years, had never come to fruition. And with a great new entrepreneur and with financing from the federal government of 25%, this project got off the ground. So agriculture has gotten some major support. And there are all sorts of community initiatives that have been supported, from playgrounds in Portage du Fort to the library in Bristol. I could go on and on, but we're investing in infrastructure, and I think that's a major achievement for the Pontiac.
On the subject of agriculture, have you got anything in particular you'd like to say on the trade deal that was done with the Americans with respect to the dairy sector?
Well, certainly, I mean, across all of the agricultural sector, that free trade deal is a really important one because that's our primary market. So ensuring that we've got guaranteed access for our beef and various other export industries, hugely important. On the dairy side, of course, that was a real challenge because Donald Trump made it very clear he wanted the abolition of the supply management system. He wanted to get rid of it entirely. That was his negotiating position. We managed to hold the fort. We managed to protect supply side management. Yes, there were some concessions, but they weren't as significant as they could have been. And the compensation that we promised to our dairy producers has been delivered in the form of $1.75 billion, which will be spread out over 8 years. And that's a compensation program that was actually designed by dairy producers across Canada with our government. So I'm really proud that we've actually delivered on that promise.
If you're re-elected in 4 years, what would you like to be able to say were your achievements of this term?
I certainly want to see more high-speed internet and better cell phone coverage in this region. It's just crucial because that's what's going to attract small businesses. That's what's going to attract cottagers. That's what's going to attract retirees. But there are other projects, of course. I've been working very hard on the Villa James Shaw Seniors Residence Project. I've been working consistently every step of the way with that group of volunteers, and I'm really, really hopeful that we're going to be delivering some great news in the months to come.
Where are you on the issue of nuclear energy?
Well, I think that for the Pontiac specifically, the nuclear energy issue is one of waste management. Broadly speaking, across Canada, the nuclear energy is an important clean source of energy. That is a given. We have a climate crisis. We need as many forms of energy that are zero emission as possible. Having said that, when one looks at waste management, we absolutely have a challenge on our hands because the legacy of nuclear waste at Chalk River is something that we've got to deal with. We absolutely have to deal with it. It's a $7 billion liability. So we will wait to see what final project is submitted by Canadian Nuclear Laboratories. When they submit a final project, it will be evaluated and assessed, and there will be public hearings. And I know I'm going to be participating in those and encouraging the public to get engaged because I've heard concerns, and I've been reporting those concerns directly to our government and to the Canadian Nuclear Safety Commission.
Well, as an environmental lawyer, do you not have your own concerns?
I have concerns as an individual, but my job is also to represent the Pontiac and the entirety of the Pontiac, and also to respect processes that are established under law. So, in my view, to look for Will Amos's view on a technical issue like nuclear waste management, at the end of the day, I would like to read all of the different opinions about what is finally proposed, because right now all we've seen is a draft proposal. We don't have a final proposal on the table, and I think it would be wise for me to wait until we see all the information and then evaluate all of the different points of view and all of the expert testimony.
What would you like to say to the electors in this area on the subject of climate change?
Climate change is the challenge of our century. I got into politics as an environmental lawyer because I knew that I wanted to leave this world a better place for our children and for our communities. If Pontiac is going to thrive, it's going to be because we are dealing properly with the climate challenge. We need to make sure that our government is taking aggressive measures. We need to make sure that the provinces are taking aggressive measures. And one of the big challenges in the Pontiac right now is that Quebec has a price on carbon, but Ontario does not. Neither does Alberta. And so it's so important for the federal government to have stepped up and put a price on pollution in this country because it evens the playing field and it means that no jurisdiction can race to the bottom and free ride on every other province that's actually pulling their weight like we are here in Quebec.
Where are you on the subject of Quebec secularism?
At the end of the day, our party and Will Amos as an individual, we are all about the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. At the end of the day, the state shouldn't be telling people what they should or shouldn't wear.
Any other comments that you wanted to raise?
Well, I'd like to say, number one, that it was such a privilege to have been elected in the Pontiac and to serve the people. I really, every day, wake up pinching myself knowing how what an honor it is to represent so many beautiful and distinct communities. And I'd also say that I'd like to salute the strength and the resilience of Pontiac's communities in the face of 2 floods over 3 years. It has been a challenging period. I never expected, as a member of Parliament, that I'd be on the front lines with our community leaders, first responders, our Canadian Armed Forces, and dealing with what is nothing short of a regional crisis, times 2. So it has been an incredible 4 years. I've appreciated every minute of it, and I would be so honored if I got the opportunity to do it again.